Hello, guys, and welcome back to League One predictions. We are back for an actual full set of predictions after last week's shambles. We had terrible weather and an FA Cup weekend, which meant that only 2 games played out. So I will highlight the results from last time there briefly. Not many points between us. I did manage to get Huddersfield to win 1-0 at Wycombe. I'm joined, as always, by the brilliant Benjamin Bloom. How are you?
Well, I don't think it's very accurate you call me brilliant when I've registered a 0, Matt, haven't I? Okay, only 2 games in the end. But yeah, well played, because that was a big call, Wycombe 0, Huddersfield 1. And we can parlay that into a bit of title chat where are Huddersfield coming? Not necessarily for the title, but are they coming for Wycombe and Wrexham?
Yeah, possibly. The top end of League One is certainly bunching up. Huddersfield would have played again over the weekend, but as I say, there was lots of postponements and their game away at Shrewsbury was called off. Congratulations to the League One teams that have progressed to the 4th round in the FA Cup as well. I'm sure we'll mention that through the video. And before we dive straight into the predictions, let's go for some plugs. Be sure to hit the like button. Once again, your support on the League One predictions has been fantastic this season, so do get involved and subscribe to myself and Benjamin Bloom if you haven't already. It takes 2 seconds to hit the subscribe button, and it also takes 2 seconds to head over to Ben's channel and make sure you do. There's brilliant content going out every day over there. Ben, let's get into them. Let's start with Thursday's game. I'll let you go first for Shrewsbury versus Wrexham.
I might throw an early grenade in here, Matt, because I think this is the sort of game that Gareth Ainsworth might draw. And I'm not going purely on that win against Birmingham, because there was a bit of fresh start fallacy with that and new manager bounce, whatever you want to call it. But we are right, and I know the Wrexham fans probably think we're a broken record to, talk about the home away disparity. And yeah, I don't think there's going to be many goals or many chances, and I think it might be a draw, even though the two teams are obviously miles apart in the league table. So I'm going to throw up an early 1-1, and a 1-1 isn't normally a shocker. It's normally a boring one, but you'll probably get quite a nice price for that because Wrexham are going to be hot favourites, Matt. 1-1.
I like it. There you go. An early surprise there. Completely agree with what you've said, by the way. This game definitely suits Shrewsbury more with them at home because they've picked up more points at home this season. I think about 70% of their points are at home. And then Wrexham, of course, have been fantastic at home. Not bad away, but certainly a big disparity in the home and aways. I think the quality will tip it for me, though, so I will go for the favourites. I agree with what you've said about Shrewsbury picking up results against teams you don't expect, but I will go Shrewsbury 0, Wrexham 2. I will back Wrexham to win this one. It certainly feels like at this moment in time, the teams at the top got to be careful with where they drop points because a lot of them are moving at a very fast pace. So I'll go 2-0 Wrexham. I'm a bit cautious of calling this one a derby, Ben, but I think they are fairly local to each other, considering...
I'm not getting involved in any derby conversations, Matt. I'll leave that to you.
I know, I'll get scolded in the comments, but I will say that it's potentially a derby because I don't think there is actually any closer away days to each other in this division. Ben, I'm up first for Blackpool versus Huddersfield. Is this is it Jordan Rhodes derby? No, was he at Blackpool?
Mate, it's a Steve Bruce derby, isn't it?
It's a Steve Bruce derby. He
managed Huddersfield many years ago, yeah.
A lot of games are a Steve Bruce
Jordan
derby.
Rhodes. I'm thinking, did Jordan Thornley play for both? I can't remember. Anyway, in the comments, please, who's played for both? Yeah. I'm sure there'll be 50 that we've missed out.
Big game, obviously, Huddersfield Town. We were speaking about earlier that win against Wycombe, a massive result. We did say last time in the predictions it would be a statement. They've closed the gap on that top 3. I'm a bit frustrated they didn't get to play their game over the weekend because I feel like we'd get a better read on this promotion race because they've still got a game in hand. If they win this, they're certainly still involved. Blackpool, obviously mid-table, we've highlighted how we're not sure what they're doing this season. They'll go on a good run. You'll think they're in the playoff race. Then they'll sort of fall away again. I'm up first, and I will back Huddersfield to keep going 2-1.
I thought it was going to be a scribble when you said 2, because I'm going to go 2-0 to Huddersfield, and we've both said, and I think did Huddersfield do the deal for the striker from Luton? I think they're going to have a bit of an aggressive January transfer window as well, and I kind of interrupted myself from making the point there that we've both been across the big, long Mike Duff, Cheltenham, Barnsley run. I think it's coming, isn't it? I think it's coming right now. We might be in the middle of it, or at the start of it. The Huddersfield fans will think so. I'll go 2-0 and hitch myself to the Huddersfield train.
Yeah, we're not on the Steve Bruce train this week. Are you thinking of Taylor that went from Luton to Huddersfield?
Yeah. Quite a big chunky fee, right?
I think so. I remember he scored.
I think the Birmingham fans were having some fun with that fee as well, weren't they?
Yeah. I believe, Ben, because you were at that Championship playoff final between Coventry and Luton, he scored, but it was disallowed.
VAR, didn't it? Yeah.
That's right. Okay.
And I said on my vlog, it was Alan Campbell going through, not Joe Taylor. So
right.
There you go. I was all over the place.
Yeah, actually, I don't want to relive that day. I don't know why I brought that up, but there you go. Let's move on, Ben. We're both back to Huddersfield. Let's move on to Peterborough United versus the Leyton Orient train. Leyton Orient are absolutely flying. I will mention that we're recording this on Tuesday and their FA Cup game has been rearranged to Tuesday, so we'll see how that plays out tonight. Peterborough, I did actually watch their game against Everton on Thursday last week, Ben. Darren Ferguson's been getting quite a bit of stick, hasn't he?
Oh, what, for not bringing on Ashley Young's kid? Oh, what you're going to do? This is so strange, Matt, because I bet you 100% if this game was in August, we'd both be comfortable home winning this. But I bet we're both about to call an away win because Leyton Orient are on absolute fire. Peterborough are not. So, yeah, there is no train faster than the Orient train at the moment. So,
Orient Express.
Oh, that was too easy. How did I miss that one, for God's sake? What do you reckon, a 2-1 or a 3-1? Let's go for 2-1. Posh 1, Orient 2.
That is a scribble, Ben. It is a scribble because we like Posh to score, don't we? That's left me in a tricky position because I do fancy Posh to score. Am I going to be brave enough to go 3-1? I am. Go on. 3-1 Orient. Like I say, the Orient Express, I will back them. Peterborough United, really starting to worry about them being at the wrong end of the table here, Ben. I mean, it's not just that they don't look like they're going to make the top 6, but only 5 points above that bottom 4, so we'll keep an eye on that. Next up, Ben, a big game for another team down near the bottom, Northampton Town. They are at home to Lincoln City. Lincoln went out of the FA Cup to Birmingham City at the weekend. I'm not sure if you saw Lyndon Dykes' goal. That was a terrific goal, that one.
I did not know.
I'm up first. Lincoln haven't been winning much, have they? I make them the favourites, but Northampton, 5 points in 3. I think you did mention last time that they've had soft fixtures. I will go for a draw then. 1-1.
Yeah, I quite like 1-1 as well, to be honest. Do I see Northampton? I'm not sure I see Northampton winning. Do you know what? It feels scribbly because I really wanted 1-1, but I'm just not admitting it, am I? But I've got a nil effing nil coming up later in the show. Right, I'm gonna pivot. 0-0, Northampton Lincoln. There we go. I'm gonna get excited for Stevenage now. Later on.
There you go. So we're both going for a draw, though. Yeah, I know. So like I say, Lincoln City currently in 12th place. They are 9 points off the playoffs, and I was getting quite excited about them earlier this season, so they certainly need to go on a good run to get back into that picture. Ben, you are up first for Birmingham City versus Exeter City, who are two of the League One teams that have actually made it to the FA Cup 4th round.
Yeah, it's almost like with Birmingham, pick a number, any number, but they're not in... Do you remember the mode that Ipswich got in at the end of that League One season where all of a sudden everything clicked and it was 3-4 every week, wasn't it? They're not there yet, so I'm still not going to chuck in the 3 and 4-0 wins. Well, they did beat Wigan 3-0 away from home. I just think at St Andrews, everyone's just going to go there and be like, I'll take 0-0 right now. I'll take a 1-0 defeat and playing well, you know. So I think you're going to get a lot of 2-0s from me for St Andrews fixtures from now. And here's one to start us off. Birmingham 2, Exeter 0.
Ben, that
Well,
that
mate,
is a
take the
scribble.
3-0. Yeah.
Yeah, I might have to. So Ben's gone 2-0. I completely agree with what you've just said. I could see come April, Birmingham are dishing out a couple of 3-0s and 4-0s. But in the meantime, the Birmingham fans are not going to complain if it's still 1-0s and 2-0s.
No.
3 points is 3 points. And they're unbeaten at home. The only other team unbeaten at home, I believe, is Wrexham. Credit to Exeter, of course. They got a great win against Oxford in the FA Cup. I'll go 2-1 then. I will give Exeter a goal. I'm not feeling brave enough to go 3-0, so I'll give Exeter a goal and say that they're in the game, but I can't see past Birmingham winning it. But there you go, both back in blues. Ben, next up, we have Bolton versus Cambridge. The pressure is back on again on Ian Everett.
What week is it? Yeah.
Yeah, never feels like it's not on, to be honest. But that defeat to Rotherham at the weekend, I saw some footage online of genuinely some Bolton fans celebrating when Rotherham scored their third goal because they thought that would mean the end of Ian Everett, which is very toxic. It's very difficult in that position to turn things around. That said, it's a nice fixture, isn't it? It's the kind of game where he gives himself a bit more time. Cambridge United, we'd mentioned they had picked up a few points over Christmas, but there's 3 defeats in 3 now. I'll go Bolton 1-0, Ben.
Yeah, if I'd have gone first on this one, I'd have laid out the exact same narrative that you did, that probably in either 2 games or 3 games or however many games, we'll be like, oh, he's 1 game from the sack again. But you're playing at home to one of those teams that's really struggling adrift down at the bottom. So you would imagine, and look, you pay your money, and the Bolton fans are more emotionally invested and know more about it than either you or I. I'm not sure celebrating the opponent's goals is helpful, but it's your right to do that if you want to do that. But it does feel like it's really, I'm not going to say turn, but like past the point of return. But do you remember last season, Matt, covering the Championship? Do you remember when Norwich lost to Blackburn in November? And you're like, there's no way he can get to Monday without getting sacked. They got in the playoffs, so. It can be that way, but this is a long-winded way. Sorry, Matt, did you take the 1-0?
I did.
Do you know what? I'm gonna go for the cork to be unpopped a little bit. I'll go 3-1 Bolton. Ooh. I'll go for them to. Well, Matt, I know it's not good there, but there's still quality in the squad, and they've still been in the top 6 the past couple of seasons. So they're not inept. They're just having a bad time.
Yeah, that's true. So 3-1. We're both back in Bolton and both backing them to win, and the Bolton fans to be singing "There's only one Ian Everett" at the end of the game. It does feel like it's got to be playoffs minimum now for Bolton. That their expectations are raised. I think as well. It's last season, isn't it, Ben? They were in such a good position with the playoff final.
And Matt, I do get it. We'll get a comment from a Bolton fan saying, "Yeah, but lads, we're not going to make the playoffs," and then they'll sack him at the end of the season. So why not just do it now? There's a totally reasonable argument, which I'm afraid your chairwoman doesn't agree with it at the moment because she's not pulling the trigger. So
yeah, that's true. But we're both back in Bolton. It does feel like if Cambridge were to get out of here with anything, maybe even a win, that really would smell of trouble, wouldn't it? Ben, I will let you go first for Bristol Rovers versus Barnsley.
Yeah, got to back Barnsley in this one, haven't you? And talking about the playoffs being, reconstructed over the last couple of seasons. Well, Peterborough are not going to be there. Bolton are probably not going to be there, but I think Barnsley are, aren't they? They're going to have another go. So let's go. We normally go both teams to score on Barnsley, don't we? Let's not do that. Bristol Rovers 0, Barnsley 2.
Yeah, I quite like that. I've just been wondering where to play my bonus point this week, Ben. And
go on, son.
Barnsley can be entertaining. So let's go Bristol Rovers 2, Barnsley 3 as my prediction. I've got to back Barnsley. I don't know if you saw much of Bristol Rovers against Ipswich, Ben, but the game was pretty much over by half-time, wasn't it?
Yeah, and you don't want to be that patronising fan of a Premier League team where you have to have enough self-awareness to know that you're probably your substitute who's least likely to go on could fund the entire Bristol Rovers squad with just their wages. So, you can get an upset, but no, Ipswich played it very nicely. Fortunately, having gone out to Maidstone in the third round last year.
And they've set themselves up with a very difficult task at the CBS next.
I don't know what you're talking about, Matt.
We will come on to that at some point, guys. Coventry versus Ipswich. But of course, we're focusing on League One. Bristol Rovers in a spot of bother. How far are they above that bottom four if I look at it now? So they are
5 points.
20th, 5 points.
Crawley have a game in hand.
Crawley have a game in hand. Neither of them are moving very fast, though, if you look at the form over the last 5. Yeah, I'm going to go for Barnsley. Maybe Bristol Rovers put up more of a fight, and I've got them to score 2, but I just can't see past Barnsley, who seem to be a bit more consistent at the moment. Ben, I will move on to Crawley versus Burton. Oof, this is a big one because when you're down at the bottom, you don't get too many opportunities to win. And we've obviously highlighted so many times before how it's a chasm, isn't it, when you're down at the bottom of League One with 4 going down. Crawley have a fighting chance. They're 5 points adrift. They've got the game in hand, and they're at home in this one as well. Burton, 11 points adrift. It kind of speaks for itself, and the form as well. 2 wins all season, and we're into the middle of January. I've got to go for Crawley. I'm trying to work out if this would be a really open game or it'd be a really scrappy one. I'm going to go for the 1-0 Crawley, Ben.
Yeah, that's a scribble. I was having exactly the same thought because when you said, I don't know where to play my bonus point. Well, Crawley Burton could be very goaly because, both open as anything. But then I thought the same as you. It's a bottom 4. They're never massively open. So, being you've done that, it would make all the sense in the world for me to play the bonus point now because what's the worst that can happen? I think we're all kind of just assuming it's, will Burton even make it to Easter still in the division, let alone stay in the division? So I'll back Crawley and I will back them. Let's go for a 4-2 then.
Oh, wow. I like that. Gone from a 1-0 to a 4-2.
Amen.
Yeah, no, I do like it. Let's have a look at those numbers again. So Crawley, all 4 of them down at the bottom have all struggled for goals this season, obviously. That's why they're down there. Like I say, though, Crawley have a fighting chance. And at the start of the season, I thought Crawley might have been in a bit more bother than Burton, considering they'd just come up and it seemed like they'd lost a lot of their players and they've lost their manager this season. But if Crawley do get out of this, which is still possible, then fair play to them. Ben, you're up first for an interesting one here. Mansfield versus Wycombe.
Well, it's very interesting with the Matt Bloomfield wrinkle as well. And before I get any tears from any Mansfield fans, we are aware that Mansfield are a good side as well. So this is not just about Matt Bloomfield potentially going to Luton or at the very worst having his head massively, massively turned. We're recording here, obviously, on Tuesday and the game's at the weekend. So could all be cleared up by then. I have no crystal ball. But that makes me think Mansfield are going to get something. And again, if you're a very emotionally led Mansfield fan, that's not me saying that Mansfield aren't a good side. But if you look at the excellent resource we have called the league table, Wycombe are higher than Mansfield in said wonderful resource. So there we go. Have I appeased the Mansfield fan who filled my Facebook private messages full of tears the other week? Hopefully I have. But I'm gonna give him a bonus, Matt. I'm gonna give him a draw here for Mansfield. I'm gonna go for a Desmond as well, a 2-2. Mansfield 2, Wycombe 2.
I really like that. And we've said it's been the narrative all season with Mansfield. We like both teams to score. Do you know what I was thinking, Ben? It does remind me a little bit of the conversation we had when Sellers went from Reading to Hull. And what I said is, imagine if Reading get up and Hull still go down. Because you look at it a few weeks later, Hull are still in the bottom 3 and Reading seem to be doing all right without Sellers at the moment. Not to discredit him, of course. And there is that possibility that Wycombe go up and imagine Luton go down. We could be talking about them in League One next year. I mentioned last time as my reason for backing Huddersfield to beat Wycombe that Wycombe had lost a couple of players. I think it was Taylor and Morley. They have started to bring in a couple recently. One of them being Sonny Bradley that we did mention last time, and he actually scored in the FA Cup against Portsmouth. I'm going to back Wycombe, I think. Go on, 2-1, just to keep the standard really hot at the top. Mansfield
and let me just
1,
get this right,
Wycombe
Matt. You
2.
did that because you absolutely hate Mansfield and you have an agenda against them, and all you think about all day is how much you hate Mansfield, right? Yeah? Because that's what some of the comments would tell us, yeah?
It's the only reason I'm here to do League One predictions, Ben.
We love Mansfield.
We do. Honestly, there isn't one club. Look, to be honest, myself and Ben, I'm not trying to big us up a lot because it's us here presenting this, but we are very unbiased and we don't have teams that we hate. So any of those comments are really silly. If we back your team to lose, it's not because we hate them.
They have a clough in the dugout as well. How can you not love that either?
Yeah.
But yeah, hey ho. Point made, I think, Matt.
Yeah. So to any Mansfield fans, I mean, by the way, most of the Mansfield fans that comment are brilliant. But to any fans, it doesn't have to just be Mansfield fans. We are here giving predictions, not because we hate teams, but because it's fun to do predictions. And it might mean sometimes you lose. But honestly, myself and Ben have really enjoyed the rise of Mansfield. Ben, I like this fixture as well. Reading v Stockport. Both in that playoff picture, aren't they? I've got to say, Reading, I just mentioned them a second ago. They've been great despite Sellers going out the door. It's Hunter's done a great job. And it's 6th versus 7th, Ben. Reading actually have played a game less and they're 3 points ahead of Stockport. So it feels like Stockport have got to come here and get something, haven't they? You know, if they lose this, they lose a bit of ground. But I might back Reading. I'm going to go 2-1 Reading. They've been pretty impressive lately. 10 points in the last 4.
Yeah, I don't mind that, Matt. Yeah, I think you're going to get a lot of people predicting the Louis Barry thing, at least in the short term, means you get a little dip from Stockport. But then there's years, we mentioned it with Wrexham about years of winning and years of points going on the board. It's the same for Stockport, isn't it? Mate, people call it boring. Up it goes. Let's throw up a 1-1. Reading 1, Stockport 1, but agree with all your points.
Yeah, and I'd quite like that result to come true because it keeps the sort of status quo of it's quite bunched up around the playoff picture. The last thing we want as neutrals is to get to April and the playoff race has been sewn up and the top 2 race has been sewn up. We want it all to play for going into the final week of predictions. Ben, you're up first for Rotherham versus Charlton.
Well, the only place more gobby than the YouTube comments is going to be the dugouts at Rotherham versus Charlton this week.
That's brilliant.
It's going to be a nice quiet one at the library, isn't it? But I think I'm going to back the home team. God, they've had a difficult run, actually, and they've got good results, haven't they, Rotherham? They've played Stockport, Lincoln away and won there. Huddersfield, they've gone to and got a point. They've beaten Bolton. I do take on board all the points you made about Bolton, but yeah, here he comes, up on the rails. Let's go for a 2-0. Rotherham 2, Charlton 0.
Wow, interesting. I'm also going for Rotherham, Ben. I'm going to go 1-0. And I thought I was going to go for Rotherham and you were going to land on the draw because Charlton's form has still been pretty good. But yeah, I think the home advantage is crucial. And as you say, the opponents, they've taken the points off. They beat Bolton last time. I think that 0-0 at Huddersfield, Ben, they had 10 men for some of the game as well.
Did they? Oh, okay.
So, we did mention this a few weeks ago. Steve Evans to get Rotherham towards the playoff picture come the end of the season. I think it was half jokingly, but there was maybe a bit of seriousness in there, knowing that he's done it before with Rotherham. And yeah, it just feels like things might be going in the right direction. But they have given themselves a bit of a mountain to climb, so they do need that form to continue. Rotherham, as things stand, are 3 points behind Charlton. Yeah, 10 points off the playoffs.
10 points off the playoffs,
Yeah, and 3 behind Charlton. So they'll move level with them, and we're both backing them. And then, Ben, the final game, I am going to dive right in with Stevenage 0, Wigan 0.
0-0. Well, yeah, I mean, it's worked out quite well because I said I was going to play that earlier, but then I didn't realise, obviously, you're going first. So I've played it on Northampton. What do we do? Oh, should we give Stevenage the win then? Or shall I play another one? Do you know what? How many 1-1s have I played, Matt? I've played 2, haven't I?
You played 2, but to be honest, Ben, I'd recommend you should play a bonus point.
I bet you do, don't you, Matt? I'm not going to do that, buddy. I'm not falling for your baiting here. I'm so sorry, audience. Call me boring in the comments. I'll give you 1 week where you're allowed to call me boring as long as you use capital letters. I'm going to go 1-1 because Matt SB took the 0-0. Selfish, Matt. Selfish. That's your new nickname, Selfish Matt.
Yeah, that's it. like I say, I think these are the two teams we've probably predicted the most 0-0s for this season. Because, I mean, Stevenage at home, we always call a very low scoring game. And then we've highlighted Wigan's numbers this season as low scoring. So, two mid table teams that I'm not sure who'd be happier with the draw. Wigan are a little bit further down the table. Neither of them in great form, actually. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with us both going for a draw on that one. So do share your thoughts down below, because that wraps up the 12 predictions. Ben, how are you feeling? We're moving into, is that game week 27 or 28? Everyone's played a different amount of games.
It's difficult in League One as well, because I'm not talking down on the level, but you do get a lot more postponements because of the infrastructure around some of the grounds and, ability to cover the pitch and heat the pitch and get the games on and the safety outside and all of that. But it's a tough task, isn't it, for the wonderful groundsmen at every single club, all 24 of them in League One. What I do want to ask the comments, guys, is I don't know about you, Matt, but I got a few tweets when Coventry Ipswich came out saying, first thing I thought, that's Matt SB versus Benjamin Bloom. So let us know what type of content you might want to see, because I may pay Matt SB a visit for that one. And the good news is, I don't speak for you, Matt, I'm sure neither of us are that bothered about the result in the FA Cup. There's more important things for both teams to worry about. So we can probably have a bit of a laugh. But let us know if you want any kind of joint FA Cup Coventry Ipswich vlog, maybe some forfeits for the loser, or maybe some points we can throw in into the predictions. There you go. Maybe I have to wear full Mansfield kit to a random game or something like that, because I hate Mansfield now, apparently. But there you go.
I love that, Ben. We'll definitely have to sort something out for that, because obviously Coventry's my team, Ipswich is Ben's team. As well as that, guys, I do recommend, now we've finished the predictions, to head over to Ben's channel if you haven't already, because we've got Premier League content with myself that we do over there. He does predictions with Mikey, Championship content with Sam Parkin that you don't want to miss as well. So please do subscribe to Benjamin Bloom if you haven't already, guys. And once again, a massive thank you for your support. Make sure you've dropped a like on this video and subscribed. And I don't think we've got a midweek set next week, Ben. So I think we'll probably be meeting again on Tuesday for the League One predictions. But like I say, we'll have a Premier League check-in podcast coming soon as well on Ben's channel. So do look out for that. Thank you for your great support. Good luck this weekend. We'll see you in the next one. Take care. Peace out.